What's going on? Welcome to episode 35 of IntheAMwMC. It's been a 2 month hiatus. Um, Lots been going on. But we're blessed to be here on May 19th talking sports. And so we're gonna get back to it. We're gonna get regular. But this is episode 35, and so why not start with number 35, AZ Fudd, number one overall draft pick in the WNBA. She is starting to find her footing in her third career game. She missed the game already due to some knee soreness. I think it's is more preventative than reactive from the team, which is good, especially because you see a player like Rickea Jackson just going down with an ACL. Like these players, their bodies need to be maintained like by the hour almost because you just never know. And there's also like you could also do everything right and still suffer something like what just happened to Jackson. Hopefully she gets a speedy recovery. Something that is definitely going to be more of a topic of conversation as time goes on is like the timetable for players when they do get injured, because it's not like, I mean, with the NBA, like, yeah, guys get injured and they might be out for 9 months or something. But the NBA is a long season, a lot a longer season than the WNBA. And then you have the postseason. And so with the WNBA players, a lot of them, like if they get hurt in the WNBA season, then they can't go and make money in whatever alternate league that they would be playing in when they're not playing in the WNBA. So it's like a lose-lose. It's a terrible situation for a lot of players that I think is going to become a larger conversation as time goes on. But AZ Fudd starting to figure it out herself. Maddie, uh, I think her last name is Zattergeist. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I know her first name. I think her first name is Maddie. But Maddie, AZ, Paige Beckers, Arike, Odyssey Sims. I think this is a good kind of collection, and it can be sustainable. Like you just saw against Washington, that had a very big offensive output. But Washington is also coming off of a game where they went to overtime versus uh, the Indiana Fever, and they beat them in a pretty shocking result. You know, I believe they have some injuries, or they had an injured player in that game. Um, Fever battling an injury now with Boston, but they just have to find their foot. And I think that the Fever, when it's all said and done, if they stay healthy, they'll probably be in the game, in the big game when it's all said and done, trying to dethrone the Las Vegas Aces, who look really good. And I'm going to get to them in a second. But yeah, I think that the Wings need to find a way to switch effectively, because that's really going to make it not a big deal. That like Fudd is going to have to basically play the two or the three on paper a lot, and defensively they're going to have to keep her out of the post against bigger threes or even bigger twos, because Fudd's only 5'11". She's like a point guard size, but she really plays like a two or a three. And Odyssey Sims is a one. Um, Paige is really a one, but she's going to play the two. You know what I'm saying? So and Paige has put on some muscle this season. So defensively, they're just going to have to be able to switch everything. Alana Smith is going to have to pull her weight on offense. She hasn't really been able to gel with the offense early in the season, and she didn't see a lot of minutes in their game against the Mystics. You'd have to imagine that that's related. But the Wings look decent. I think they're about eighth right now. Them and the Mystics are really in the same kind of spot. Up at the top, you have teams like the Liberty, per usual. The Atlanta Dream look pretty good with the addition of Angel Reese. You know, they had a couple games go down to the wire early on in the season, and they really look like they can be an exciting team. They were an exciting team last year, but they look like they can be an even more exciting team with the possibilities of what they can do offensively, defensively, what have you. Yeah. So the Vegas team that I said was unfair. You know, Jackie Young had a really rough game the other day. She shot 0 for 12, I believe. She didn't score a single point, and they still won the game. Jackie Young is an all-time basketball player, and she's a pivotal reason that they've won multiple championships that they've won. She was a number one overall pick, and she has earned every penny of it. She thinks she signed one of those 1 year, 1 million supermax situations over the summer. Really cool to see a player like that get paid closer to, I'd imagine, whatever she's worth, right? Like I really feel strange putting dollar amounts on whatever these players are or are not worth, because that's a conversation you don't want to get into, right? Ethically. But the Vegas team is unfair. Asia Wilson had a 45-point game early on in the season, absolutely destroying teams. I mean, and she's a living legend. Teams are getting their behinds destroyed by her, and then they're trying to flick up with her afterwards. I would never do something like that. I mean, I'm a big proponent and believer of sportsmanship. Like as a coach myself, like I always make sure the kids shake hands, that they respect their opponent, they respect the game that they're a part of, they respect the coaches, the parents, the officials, and what have you. And whatever the heat is between the lines, that's the fire of competition. And even that has its own parameters, right? But when it's all said and done, it's over, right? That's kind of like how I believe. Um, but there's a certain etiquette, like we wouldn't lose to a team or play a team. We've played teams with like Power Five players in football and stuff like that. We wouldn't go walk up to them guys right after the game and be like, "Yo, let me get a picture," especially after we lost, right? Like that's just really really bad etiquette, and I think people's minds are misconstrued watching like NFL and some of that stuff because they like to highlight the jersey swap situation, but that's not something that you do really at any level. Like that's just us. That's just what the league is choosing to focus on. They can focus on a ton of stuff post game, but they choose to focus on stuff like that. Same with the NBA. Like players do that all the time. They swap like Jared McCain and Bron swap jerseys after OKC this past series, but that wasn't really highlighted nowhere. Like we found out on McCain's Instagram, right? So it's all about what the league wants to highlight. But Vegas is an unfair team. The Connecticut team was asking for pictures after, and that's probably why they got blasted by them, and they were still winless. They're 0-5. But with the addition of Kennedy Carter, she adds a different pace to the game. She's getting buckets within the game. She passes the ball. She's unselfish. She can play defense. Um, and yeah, like she can exist in a game where Jackie Young gets 0 points and they still win. Chelsea Gray is the point guard, GAWD. She's the point guard, and everybody who there was like a poll about the best point guard in the preseason and all that. She's the best point guard. She's the best point guard on the best team. That's the multiple time defending champion. So there's really no semantics to it. I mean, if we're talking about individual players, yeah, I think there's a lot of players in the league who are coming up who have the talent to be better than Chelsea Gray, maybe all time or individually in the near future. But when you really look at who's the best player, it's showing. And you saw what happened when she played one on one with Paige on the biggest stage and unrivaled. She got busy. She makes incredible passes. She made that game winning shot for the Aces a couple nights ago. She's an incredible player. The last year, the Connecticut Sun playing in Connecticut. Next year, they will be the Houston Comets, even though the Comets are currently battling in a lawsuit issue right now. They will return to being the Comets next year. But the Connecticut team is winless right now, and they have good players on the team, like the likes of Sinai Rivers, but they're winless. Anissa Morrow, they have good players, but they're winless, and so something's got to give, whether it be the coaching staff or whether it be a couple players, because I mean, if they tank for next year for 2027, they could legitimately get a great player in Sarah Strong or Juju Watkins if she comes out in 27 or 28, both of which could come out in 28, right? Strong doesn't have to come out in next year. But yeah, I mean, I really think that she probably won't actually come out next year, now that I think about it. But next year they could get maybe Hidalgo is gonna come out next year. I'm trying to think because a lot of these players, they actually go to class. It's not like football and basketball where these dudes are just hopping from school to school. You got dudes like TJ Finley going to non-schools. I would love for TJ Finley to get on the show and tell me how many degrees he's earned with all respect to the man. Because I just want to know. I'm not even hating. I genuinely want to know how the credits transfer when you get to certain aspects of it. Because what my concern is people getting degrees. You could go from place to place to do what you do, but that's one thing about the transition from players going to college women's college basketball to the W is that they're getting degrees, and people want to change the rule to allow players to do one and dones or whatever, but at the risk of players not getting degrees, I don't like it. We already seen that at the men's level before the incorporation of NIL, so I don't like it. I'm not for that. Switching gears to the NFL, Rashee Rice has been suspended by the NFL previously for a car accident that he caused. His car was going like 150 or something crazy like that. And there's like a viral video of him, his car's on the road with a bunch of his buddies, and they're all walking out, fleeing the scene. And then they go in the car and they reach and they get some guns. And then they flee the scene again. And he's had these off the field issues. And the Chiefs have had more than players having off the field issues. They had one of their assistants, you know, take someone's life in a intoxicated driving situation the week of the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So there's a lot. There's always been a lot going on with the Chiefs in recent years with off the field behavior. Rashee Rice is not new to that as far as participating in that, but he will serve 30 days in jail, which means he will miss OTAs and I believe part of training camp. Uh, he's got to understand he's expendable. He's replaceable. All of these guys are replaceable, and I think uh, being a Giants fan the past couple of years, you watch closely at players that think that they're untouchable and they don't do themselves any favors. They might be given, a shitty hand, excuse my language, but they don't do themselves any favors. And a guy like that for us, for the Giants, Kadarius Toney, right? Kadarius Toney was a great player for a couple games here and there. He was a first round pick. He was human joystick, no ACLs, all these things about him, but he couldn't stay in the league, and he couldn't prove that he wasn't expendable because he was. And then I believe he might have had something going off the field. Nothing as bad as what Rashee Rice has going on. But I believe something might happen off the field. I'm not sure. Another piece of NFL news, two more pieces actually. One, Aaron Rodgers re-signed with the Steelers. This is a surprise to nobody if you paid any attention. He just was waiting for them to revamp and sign everybody. And he just probably is gonna. I didn't look at the deal, but I'd imagine it's a modest deal. I'd imagine it's no more than $25 million. And if it is more, I would be shocked because he hasn't done anything to show them he's worth more than that. But it'll be interesting to see what they look like this year. To be fully honest, what the Pittsburgh Steelers look like without Mike T for the first time in a long time. Uh, whatever it is that they look like. I mean, they got Mike McCarthy, a guy who's very familiar with Aaron Rodgers, a guy who won a Super Bowl with him. So again, it's not a surprise that A-Rod is back. Last set of news, JSN, he continues to be disrespected by the NFL. Jackson Smith and Jigba, and this is a recurring thing that I've noticed is when you think about marketability with NFL players. One thing that it boils down to is relatability, and the NFL has told themselves that relatability is essentially easy to say names, right? Easy to pronounce names, stories that are easy to follow or like very cut and dry or possibly something that other people at home can hijack in some kind of way. Um, Ray Davis is a phenomenal player for the Buffalo Bills. His story is being made into like a lifetime movie. I could see him being a player that the NFL tries to, put in their promotion cycle some more because they do that like and rightfully so like I'm not taking anything away from Davis' story or anything like that, but I think that again the NFL kind of has this responsibility to really really highlight all players regardless of if their name is easy or if they're on a team that's in the limelight, because that's another thing, right? You got players who are in quote unquote small markets or players who their team don't make it to the big games enough and they don't really get in the limelight like that. So it's hard to get everybody their shine like that. That makes 100% sense, right? It's hard to get everybody their shine, but when you have a player like Jackson Smith and Jigba who has been prolific, like I think I mean, and the NFL even more so than the NBA, nepotism will get you a long way. And Jackson Smith and Jigba has been strides and strides and strides better than Marvin Harrison in the last couple years. I think Smith and Jigba has been in the league for 1 or 2 more years than Harrison, but I don't expect Harrison to make the kind of jump in year three to even be in the same stratosphere as Smith and Jigba. And like he had that game at Ohio State in the playoffs where he had like 300 yards. He had the same thing happen in high school. He's shown for a long time that he's a technician with this stuff, and he deserves his respect. And for his name to be played with um, at the NFL honors by someone that calls himself a comedian. And then on top of that, for the NFL honors to send an award to his house, and then it's the wrong award to send him the Defensive Player of the Year award. I think it's just complete negligence, and it's a league that puts too much money into knowing better. So they need to do better for a player that's one of their stars, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Shifting gears to the NBA, Victor Wembanyama put up a prolific, historic storyline last night, a stat line last night. He's a young dude. I mean, I really be forgetting he's like 22. You would think he was like 25 at least, because it's just not fathomable the stuff that he's doing. The numbers are crazy: 40 plus points, 20 plus rebounds, but it's It's the shot changing. It's the shot creating. It's the ability to make the next pass at that size. It's the ability to pull up from three at that size, to to run back cuts at that size, to initiate offense at that size. I mean, it's stupid. It's stupid how good he is, and he takes stuff. He takes the rivalry stuff serious, and I love a good rivalry. Chet Holmgren has got to take this stuff serious because Chet, Mr. I'll blow your block down. Yeah, Chet Holmgren, he needs to take this serious because he this is kind of the evaluation period for him. He's set to make $40 million next year, and Sam Presti has shown he's willing to be aggressive in certain situations. So I could totally see Chet Holmgren getting swapped out this summer for Giannis Antetokounmpo should the Oklahoma City Thunder fall short. And should they not, more power to him. But that he'll be one of the reasons that they don't fall short. Or SGA, who's having a historically bad postseason for a two-time MVP as well. I mean, he is really playing rough right now. He's probably shooting 45 to 48% from the field. He's not getting to his spots. The shots are not falling. And certain teams are able to turn the ball over, or certain games, teams are able to turn the ball over on him at a rate that is very detrimental to what the team has going on. He did have 12 assists last game, though. You do like that. That is encouraging if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. But no De'Aaron Fox, and that's a game you have to win when one of the stars are not playing. Uh, yeah, here we go. Here we go. But as I was saying, Harper, Dylan Harper is he has big paws on a puppy. It's a line from The Wire. They talked about big paws on a puppy. Dylan Harper, he's got an unassumingness about him, but as soon as the game starts, he's just on go, and he plays at his own pace. But defensively, he plays with urgency, and he flips his hips and he slides his feet. And the stats show that he had 7 steals in game one, fill in the place of Harper, or fill in the place of Fox. Another lefty guard, but he's bigger, right? He plays a little bit of a different game, and he's way more downhill at this point in his career. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox a little bit older, so he's more from the outside, and he also has a deep two game that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough that he wants to exercise. And it's probably frustrating because he sees a guy like Brunson get free will to exercise that a lot. But Fox, those shots don't factor into the Spurs game plan. And Fox can't really take them in San Antonio. If he played on a different team, I could totally see him going to the Pelicans or to the Hawks, a team that would allow him to just kind of have free reign and just get loose. He's still a very good player, and I think that he also still could totally fill in the Spurs. I think the Spurs, if they win out this year, Fox either goes to the front office and says, "I helped y'all boys, appreciate it. Can y'all help me? Can I leave?" Or he accepts the role that it is, and him and Harper just continually start to gradually like split a lot more time more often. But that's not at all to say De'Aaron Fox is damaged goods. I feel like a lot of people have that part twisted. But Dylan Harper he offers something different. He offers something different. And so the Spurs take game one. I got the Spurs in 6. The Knicks and Cavs series, they start tonight, Tuesday, May 19th. I got the Knicks in 5. A lot of people are thinking Cavs in 6 or Knicks in 6, Knicks in 7. I got the Knicks in 5. The Cavs have just gone through a dogfight of a series, very high emotions. When you think about the ways in which the Knicks can guard the Cavaliers, I think that the Cavaliers are pretty outmatched from a length perspective. But then also when you think about shot making, right? The Cavs are essentially going to have to make a bunch of big time gutsy threes. The Max Struses of the world and the D Wades of the world. They're going to have to make those hard to make shots, you know, at places like Madison Square Garden, which I don't think that some of those guys are equipped to do. This new kind of situation they have going on offensively, the Knicks, with Karl Anthony Towns initiating a lot of offense is something that is hard to combat. And even though you have an Evan Mobley, you have a Jared Allen, I think that just means that series is going to be physical. You also have Mitchell Robinson, who loves to be physical. So a battle of 4 7-footers, it's going to be the same situation if the Knicks or if the Cavs go to play the Spurs or the Oklahoma City Thunder. It'll be again a battle of 4 7-footers, which is always nuts to see how basketball has kind of progressed towards that. I remember power forwards were like 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". Like 6'10" was kind of big for a power forward. 6'11" was like unfathomable. The fact that a guy like Tim Duncan played power forward, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Him, KG, 6'10", 6'11". But it's now like 2 7-footers or bust, and that's not always the starting lineup, but there's a lot of heavy 2 7-footer lineups that teams play with. I got the Knicks in 5. I got Knicks and Spurs in the finals. I got Knicks in 6. I got Knicks in 6. I think that Mike Brown is the kind of guy to just tell Mitchell Robinson, you got 6 fouls, use them. The Knicks don't need to close the game with Mitchell Robinson. And Josh Hart Josh Hart's going to be that guy that when it's all said and done, if they win the championship, which I think that they're on course to do, they're going to look at him and go, "We really won with you playing down low. You're 6'4", and he's a winner. Josh Hart's a winner, and he's going to show it. I think he's going to show it. So I got Spurs over OKC. I got Knicks over Cavs, and then I got Knicks over Spurs in a big dance, man. Thank you for rocking with me. Episode 35. Deuces.